Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan Metal video. In this video we're going to take a look at the revamped method of obtaining the Ginyu Force and Extreme Z Awakening the Ginyu Force, as well as obtaining the LR TEQ Ginyu Team Ginyu. Now, the Ginyu Force events used to be under the story section, but they are now under the growth section as their own event entirely. It's available every single day, so there's no more having to try and come on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and basically you can get them very easily. The story has been revamped and made a lot easier. There are 6 stages. The first 5 stages each individually feature one Ginyu Force member. If you complete and recruit each individual member, being Jace, Berta, Raccoon, Gildo and Ginyu, you will then obtain a free copy of the TEQ LR Ginyu Force. You then need to take on Stage 6. Stage 6 is a special stage that features skill orbs that you can obtain for the Ginyu Force. It is a special stage that you can only take on if you have the whole Ginyu Force. Now, in terms of the individual stages, they're pretty straightforward. You'll see this Nimbus Cloud. Getting on this Nimbus Cloud will take you to fight a member of the Cooler Squadron. Fighting this member of the Cooler Squadron will give you more rewards than if you did the standard stage. So it's a pretty simple kind of spiel. Realistically speaking, taking a look at it, it's not that difficult. I guess it's just to give players a separate option if they want to accelerate their process, which generally speaking tends to help players with, just not wanting to use as much stamina. Outside of that, there's not really a big focal point, so you can choose whichever one you're comfortable with. For me, personally, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't do the Nimbus section. It has more characters, more hidden potential orbs, and it gives you the Dokkan Awakening medals, the same as the standard phase. So I definitely think if you are going to do this, do the Nimbus side. It just makes more sense. Now, other than that, there's not anything else too crazy that you need to do. Each individual Ginyu Force member has their own Dokkan Awakening medals, has their own hidden potential orbs, and also has their own, obviously, copy of each individual. So, pretty relatively simple. You need to run each stage until you have up to 19 copies of the unit. Now you might say, why do I need 19 copies? Well, you are going to use 10 copies to max out the SA, 4 copies for the hidden potential, and then another 5 copies for a second unit that you'll need when you eventually easy air them. Because you get 4 copies from the missions, you only need to farm 15 copies. In terms of the medals, you need 5 medals to Dokkan Awaken a Ginyu Force member. Because you're going to need to Dokkan Awaken 2 of them, you're going to need 10 medals in total. And that's that. So farm 15 copies of each Ginyu Force member, farm 10 medals for each Ginyu Force member, and finish stages 1 through to 5, and you'll have a free copy of the TEQ LR, alongside rainbowed copies of each individual Ginyu Force unit. And that should be where you need to be before you take on stage 6. If you are a player that's done this before, you can still redo all the stages to get yourself a Dragonstone, which is great. As well as you can also obviously redo them to help complete some of the missions, which will net you some Kais. The missions themselves drop some pretty cool rewards for veteran and new players, so definitely try to complete them. Aside from that, you should finish all these stages, and then once you've done Ginyu Force members 1 through 5, you should then look at doing stage 6. Now imagine we've finished stages 1 through 5, which we have. I already have all the Ginyu Force members rainbowed in Easy Aid, but don't worry about that. Just worry about having your Ginyu Force members, and they should be in a rainbow state. You'll probably have a lot of these missions done, but you get a second copy of the TEQ LR Ginyu Force for doing stage 6. You also get a whole bunch of Kais for doing stage 6, and as well, you'll also get skill orbs, which you can use to improve your Ginyu Force members. So stage 6 is pretty important, and you need to run it a couple times. Highly suggest you do this before moving on to the Extreme Z Awakening, as it's just going to help you with finishing that event. So as you can see, you need to have a full Ginyu Force team. They don't need to be Extreme Z Awaken, but they do all need to be present, and you need to have the LR as well. With that, you can then take on the stage. It will give you a skill orb from the initial tile, as well as from the boss you defeat. The event itself randomizes the skill orbs, and you should equip some skill orbs to your team, because some of the missions require you to beat the stage or beat stages with your units having equips as well. So yeah, that kind of sums it up. Stage 6 is relatively straightforward. Highly suggest you do it and just complete the missions for it, for the rewards as well, but also so that you can obviously beef up your team a little bit before taking on the Extreme Z area. Now the Extreme Z area is something very, very different, and it is very different comparative to some of the other Extreme Z areas. It requires you to basically farm a whole second team. So that's where it gets really weird. We'll talk about it, obviously now. But the Extreme Z area is not something that's been revamped. So whereas the Bardock, Team Bardock got a whole revamped Extreme Z area, the Ginyu Forces one is still exactly the same. So if you scroll down and find the Ginyu Force over there, fantastic. Basically what's going to happen here is you are going to Extreme Z Awaken each individual member. Now there are 6 stages, 1 through 5 are for the initial Ginyu Force members, which is great. And then of course you have stage 6, which is for the TEQ LR. Now of course, other than that, to be honest with you, this one is very strange in that it basically requires you to have the full Team Bardock. So the full Team Bardock, unfortunately, is required to basically take on the stage, and in each stage essentially has to have a Team Bardock member alongside the Ginyu Force member. Now the easiest way to run this is to run the Team Bardock team and just throw the Ginyu Force member on there, because you have to have the full Ginyu Force anyway to take on, the full Team Bardock anyway to take on stage 6. So if you need more help on getting Team Bardock, they're very similar to the Ginyu Force. You find them under the growth section. I have a video about them, you can go watch that. But basically you gotta have Team Bardock to EZA the Ginyu Force. Now you can choose which way you want to do it, but because you need the Team Bardock to take on stage 6, you are eventually going to need to have the whole team anyway, and I highly suggest you EZA them anyway, just because it makes your life easier. These Extreme Z areas, stage 1 through 5, are the old school Extreme Z areas. So on the first difficulty you get the silver and bronze medals, much like your standard Extreme Z areas. However, you have to choose between your left and right hand paths. On the first difficulty, to the left is the bronze medals, and then on the right is the silver medals. On the second difficulty, on the left is the gold medals, and on the right is the rainbow medals. It's old school, they don't do it this way anymore for a reason, because it was very, very, very painful and unenjoyable. You do have a chance to get question marks, which will give you additional medals that are randomized. So try to alternate between the left and right hand sides, so when you do get bonuses, you are not, left in an awkward situation. So once you complete stage 1 through 5, and once you have Extreme Z Awakened your units on stages 1 through 5, you are then ready to go and take on stage 6. Now stage 6, like I mentioned, doesn't actually require any Ginyu Force team members, but what it does require is full on Team Bardock. So the Ginyu Force requires you to have Team Bardock pretty much entirely in place, which is obviously very interesting. You have all of them, and it'll make your life a lot easier if you Extreme Z Awaken them as well. Once you are ready to go, you can take on the stage, and it's a very simple stage. This one, comparative to the other ones, only has one kind of medal. It costs 25 stamina, and once you complete this stage a couple times, you'll be able to EZA your TEQ LR Ginyu Force, which is great. So this is also very, very straightforward. Once again, nothing too crazy, very simple, very, very straightforward stage. So after that, you'll probably say, right, at this point my Ginyu Force is EZA'd, my TEQ Bardock is EZA'd. That's all really fantastic. The next thing that you need to do is get the final copies of the TEQ LR Ginyu Force. Now the TEQ Ginyu Force, the copies for this unit, you get 2 from the missions for this event. The other 3 copies that you're going to need to, at the very minimum, rainbow this unit are available from the Bubba Shop for the Virtual Dokkan Ultimate Currency, Battlefield Memories. Can be quite expensive. I've bought all of my copies, but it is something you're going to want to consider if you want to rainbow the unit. At the very least, you'll probably want to buy 1 copy, just get them to 79%, and fully unlock all of the electables for additional and crit in their hidden potential. But that's it. That is the revamped Team Ginyu Force. See you next time.